Disclaimer.
For years, I struggled with guilt I refused to name.
My name is Terrence Isaiah Hayes. I am 34 years old. I died for 11 minutes on September 19, 2023 in Detroit, Michigan.
I saw my best friend in hell. Before I begin, if God brought you here, subscribe and stay with me. I told myself it was small, that it did not matter, that I could handle it alone. But deep down, I knew something inside me was drifting, and I refused to face it. I grew up in Detroit with my best friend Darnell. We did everything together. Church every Sunday at Greater Emmanuel on 7 Mile Road. Basketball at the Butzel Family Center until the streetlights came on. Family cookouts where our mothers would argue about who made the best potato salad. We were brothers, not by blood, but by choice. When Darnell died in that motorcycle crash 2 years ago, something inside me died too. I stood at his funeral in a black suit I borrowed from my cousin, staring at his casket, and I could not cry. Everyone around me was weeping. His mother collapsed at the altar. His little sister screamed his name. But I just stood there frozen, numb, empty. Men do not cry. That is what I told myself. Men do not break. Men hold it together. Men are strong. So I buried it. I buried the grief. I buried the guilt. I buried the fact that I was not there the night he died. He had called me 3 times that evening. 3 times. And I let it go to voicemail because I was tired, because I wanted to watch the game, because I thought I would just call him back tomorrow. But tomorrow never came for Darnell. After the funeral, I tried to keep living like nothing had changed. I went back to work at the Ford assembly plant on the east side. I showed up to church on Sundays, sat in the 3rd row like I always did, nodded along to the sermon, shook hands during greeting time. I looked fine. He sounded fine. But inside, I was collapsing. At night, when the noise stopped, when the house went quiet, I would sit alone in my kitchen with a bottle of Hennessy on the table. I would pour a glass, then another, and I would stare at my phone, scrolling through old text messages from Darnell. The last one he sent me was still there, dated September 21st, 2021 at 9:47 p.m. Bro, we need to talk. Call me. I never called him back. I started telling myself lies to make the pain go away. I told myself Darnell was in heaven because he was a good guy. He went to church. He prayed. He helped people. God would not let someone like Darnell go to hell. Right? That is what I kept repeating in my mind. That is what I needed to believe. Because if Darnell was okay, then maybe I could stop feeling guilty. Maybe I could stop hearing his voice in my head at 2 in the morning. But the guilt did not go away. It just changed shape. I started drinking more. I started going out to clubs I had no business being in. I started entertaining women I met on apps at midnight, women whose names I would forget by morning. I started watching things online I knew I should not watch. Things that fed a part of me I used to keep buried. And every time I did it, I would tell myself the same thing Darnell used to say when we were younger and stupid. Life is short, bro. You only live once. So I lived recklessly. I lived numb. I lived like a man running from something he could not name. My Bible sat on my nightstand, unopened, collecting dust. I would glance at it sometimes before I turned off the light, and a voice inside me would whisper, "You need to pray. You need to repent. You need to stop." But I would silence that voice with another drink, another distraction, another excuse. I convinced myself I was fine. I convinced myself I had time. I convinced myself that God understood, that he knew I was hurting, that he would give me grace. But I was not hurting. I was hiding. And the thing about hiding is eventually you forget what you were hiding from. On the morning of September 19th, 2023, I woke up with a headache that felt like someone had taken a sledgehammer to my skull. I stumbled out of bed, looked at myself in the bathroom mirror, and barely recognized the man staring back at me. My eyes were red. My face looked older than 34. My hands were shaking. I forced a smile. I told myself I was fine. I splashed cold water on my face and went to work. That evening, my coworker Devin invited me to a party at his cousin's house off Livernois. I should have said no. I should have gone home. I should have opened that Bible. I should have prayed. But I did not. I said yes, because saying no meant being alone, and being alone meant hearing Darnell's voice again. The party was loud, too loud, music thumping through cheap speakers, people drinking, laughing, dancing like they had no worries in the world. I stood in the corner with a red cup in my hand, pretending to have a good time. But all I could think about was Darnell. All I could think about was the last time we went to a party together, how he made everybody laugh, how he always knew what to say. I left around 2:30 a.m. I was not drunk. I was just tired, emotionally tired, spiritually tired, tired of pretending. I got in my car, a 2015 Chevy Malibu, with a dent in the passenger door I never got fixed, and started driving down I-94 toward home. The streets were empty. The radio was off. It was just me and the hum of the engine and the sound of my own thoughts. I kept replaying Darnell's last words in my head. Bro, we need to talk. Call me. What did he want to talk about? Was he in trouble? Was he scared? Was he trying to reach out? And I ignored him. My chest tightened. My hands gripped the steering wheel harder. I felt something rising inside me, something I had been pushing down for 2 years. Grief. Real grief. The kind that does not ask permission. The kind that breaks you. And then I saw the headlights. Bright, blinding, coming fast from the left. I swerved. The car jerked to the right. I heard the screech of tires on pavement. I felt the steering wheel spin out of my hands. And then everything flipped. The world turned upside down. Glass shattered. Metal screamed. My head slammed against something hard. The airbag exploded in my face. I tasted blood. I smelled burnt rubber. I heard my own heartbeat, fast, then slower, and then it stopped. The pain in my chest was sharp at first, like someone had driven a knife straight through my ribs. But then it faded. Everything faded. The sound, the light, the fear. I felt my body go still. My lungs stopped pulling air. My heart stopped beating. But my mind stayed awake. I could see everything. I could hear everything. But I could not move. I could not breathe. I could not scream. I was dead. I felt myself lift. Not like standing up, but like being pulled by an invisible thread. My body stayed below me, crumpled inside the twisted metal of my car, but I rose above it, slowly, silently. I looked down and saw myself. My head was tilted to the side. Blood dripped from a gash above my left eye. My arms hung limp. My chest was not moving. I was not breathing, but I was still here, still aware, still thinking. I tried to scream. I tried to reach for my body. I tried to do something, anything, but my hands passed through the air like smoke. I had no weight, no substance. I was there, but I was not. Below me, I heard sirens in the distance, faint at first, then louder. Red and blue lights reflected off the wet pavement. A fire truck pulled up, then an ambulance. Paramedics rushed toward the wreckage, shouting commands I could barely understand. Male, mid-30s, unresponsive. No pulse. Start compressions. I watched them pull open the driver's side door. I watched them cut the seatbelt. I watched them lay my body on the ground and begin pressing down on my chest. Hard. Fast. Desperate. Come on. Come on. Stay with us. But I was not with them. I was above them, watching, helpless. And then I felt it. A pull. Not from above. Not toward the light, like people talk about in the movies. No, this pull came from below. Deep below. Like something at the bottom of a dark ocean had wrapped a chain around my soul and started dragging me down. I tried to resist. I tried to hold on to something, but there was nothing to hold. The air around me grew thick, heavy. The sounds of the paramedics faded into a distant echo, like I was sinking underwater. The light from the ambulance dimmed. The night sky disappeared, and all that was left was darkness. Not the kind of darkness you see when you close your eyes. This was different. This darkness had weight. It pressed against me. It crawled over my skin. It filled my lungs, even though I was not breathing. It was alive. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. I wanted to pray, but the words would not form. All I could do was fall. No, not fall. I was being pulled, dragged, like hands I could not see had grabbed hold of me and refused to let go. The temperature changed. The air grew hotter, thicker. It felt like breathing in steam from a boiling pot. My chest tightened even though I had no body. My throat burned even though I had no lungs. The heat was not on my skin. It was inside me, in my soul. And then I heard them. Voices, faint at first, distant, like whispers carried on wind. But they grew louder, closer, more distinct, groaning. Slow, hopeless groaning. Not screaming, not crying, just defeat. The sound of people who had given up. The sound of regret that had no end. I tried to cover my ears, but I had no hands. I tried to close my eyes, but I had no eyelids. I was trapped in my own awareness, forced to hear every sound, feel every sensation, see every shadow that moved in the darkness around me. And then the ground appeared beneath me. Solid, hard, scorched. It looked like cracked pavement that had been burned under the sun for 1,000 years. The cracks glowed faintly, like embers buried beneath ash. The air shimmered with heat, distorting everything in the distance. I stood there, or maybe I floated. I cannot tell. My feet touched the ground, but I felt no weight, no balance, just presence. I looked around. There was no sky, just a dense, smoky haze that pressed down from above like a ceiling made of fog and ash. There was no horizon, just endless gray stretching in every direction, and scattered across the landscape silhouettes. Shadows, figures standing still, heads down, shoulders slumped. They were not moving. They were not talking. They were just there, alone, isolated. Each one trapped in their own space, their own torment, their own regret. I took a step forward. The ground beneath me felt warm. Not burning, just warm, like walking on concrete in the middle of summer. But the heat did not come from below. It came from within. It radiated from my chest, my stomach, my throat. It was the heat of guilt, of shame, of every lie I told myself, of every sin I justified, of every moment I ignored the whisper of God. I walked through the haze, past the silhouettes, and none of them looked at me. None of them moved. They just stood there, lost in their own thoughts, their own regret, their own eternal loneliness. And then I saw him, standing about 50 feet away. His back was turned to me. His shoulders were slumped. His head was down. But I knew that posture. I knew that shape. I knew that man. My heart, if I still had one, stopped. Darnell. My voice cracked. It was the first sound I had made since I died. It echoed in the silence, but he did not respond. He did not turn around. He did not move. I took another step, then another. My legs felt weak, even though I had no body. My hands trembled, even though I could not see them. Darnell, is that you? Still nothing. I walked closer, closer, until I was only a few feet behind him. I could see the back of his head, the shape of his shoulders, the way he used to stand when he was thinking too hard about something. Darnell, bro, it is me. Terrence. Slowly, so slowly, he turned around, and when I saw his face, I felt something break inside me. It was him. It was Darnell. Same eyes, same face, same scar above his right eyebrow from the time he fell off his bike when we were 12. But his eyes were different. They were hollow, empty, drained of life, drained of hope. He looked at me, but he did not smile. He did not speak. He just stared, like he was seeing me, but not really seeing me. Like he was trapped behind glass, and I was on the other side. Darnell, what are you doing here? He did not answer. I stepped closer. My voice shook. Bro, you were supposed to be in heaven. You were a good guy. You went to church. You prayed. You helped people. You were better than me. His mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. Just a slow, painful exhale, like he had been holding his breath for years. And then I felt it, a wave of emotion that was not mine. It hit me like a freight train. Regret, bitterness, shame, pride, unforgiveness, secrets buried so deep no one ever saw them. Not even me. I staggered backward. My chest heaved, even though I was not breathing. Darnell, what happened? Why are you here? He finally spoke. His voice was quiet, broken, hollow. I never let it go to. I shook my head. Let what go? The anger, the bitterness, the hate I had for my pops, the pride, the lies I told myself. I looked good on the outside. I did all the right things. But inside, I never surrendered. I never let God in. I just pretended. Tears I did not know I could still cry began to fall. I tried to reach for him, but my hand passed through his shoulder like he was made of smoke. But you were my best friend. You were the strongest person I knew. He shook his head slowly. I was the best liar you knew. And then the air shifted. The temperature dropped. Not cold, just different. I felt a presence behind me. Not human, not physical, but real. So real it made the ground beneath me tremble. I turned around slowly, and there, standing in the haze, was a figure. Tall, radiant, not blinding, but glowing with a light that did not come from fire or sun. It came from something deeper, something pure. I could not see a face, but I felt the weight of authority, the weight of truth, the weight of holiness. And then the voice spoke, not out loud, not in my ears, but directly into my soul. This is what hidden sin becomes. This is the price of pride that refuses correction. I fell to my knees, not because I chose to, but because my soul could not stand in the presence of that voice. The figure did not move, but I felt it looking at me, seeing me, not just my actions, not just my mistakes, but my heart, my intentions, my secrets, everything I thought I had buried, everything I thought no one knew. He heard the truth many times, but he chose comfort over change. I looked back at Darnell. He stood there, head down, silent, and I realized this was not punishment. This was consequence. This was the result of 1,000 small choices, 1,000 moments where conviction whispered, and he said no. The voice spoke again. You are seeing this not to condemn you, but to warn you. Many are on the same path. Turn back before it is too late. And then the presence lifted something I did not know existed, like a curtain being pulled back, like a veil being removed. And I saw people, thousands of them, millions of them, walking through life with Bibles in their hands and bitterness in their hearts, singing worship songs on Sunday and feeding lust on Monday, praying in public and harboring unforgiveness in private, looking saved, sounding saved, but never surrendering. I saw men like me, men who buried their pain, men who hid behind strength, men who told themselves they were fine while their souls rotted from the inside out. I saw women who smiled at church but cursed their husbands at home. I saw teenagers who raised their hands in worship but scrolled through poison at midnight. I saw pastors who preached grace but lived in secret sin. And I saw the pattern, the cycle, the lie we all believed. I have time. I will change later. God understands. I am not that bad. But time runs out, and later never comes. And God is not great on a curve. The voice spoke one more time. This is the truth you refuse to see. And then I saw myself, not the version I showed to the world, not the version I pretended to be, but the real me, the me I hid, the me I ignored, the me I justified. I saw myself sitting in church, scrolling through my phone during the sermon. I saw myself nodding along to the altar call, but walking out unchanged. I saw myself at home, alone, at 2 a.m, clicking on things I knew I should not click on, watching things I knew I should not watch, entertaining thoughts I knew I should not entertain. I saw the moments when the Holy Spirit whispered, "Stop, turn around, come back." And I saw myself silence that voice with another drink, another distraction, another excuse. I saw the text message from Darnell. "Bro, we need to talk. Call me." And I saw myself put the phone down and turn on the game. I saw the choice I made, the choice that seemed so small, the choice that cost him his life. Because maybe, just maybe if I called him back, he would have told me what he was going through. Maybe he would have confessed the bitterness he carried. Maybe he would have opened up about the unforgiveness that was eating him alive. Maybe I could have prayed with him. Maybe I could have helped him. But I did not call, because I was tired, because I wanted to relax, because I thought I had time. And now, he was here, and I was here, and the weight of that truth crushed me. I collapsed onto the scorched ground. My hands, or whatever they were, covered my face. And I wept, deep, broken, soul-shaking sobs. I was becoming what destroyed him. The words came out of my mouth before I even realized I was speaking, but they were true, so painfully true. I was on the same path, the same cycle, the same lies, the same justifications, the same hidden sins, the same refusal to surrender. And if I had died just a few months later, if I had kept going the way I was going, I would have ended up right here, right next to Darnell, right in the middle of this endless regret. The presence behind me did not speak, but I felt its gaze, steady, unwavering, waiting, and I finally understood. This was not about Darnell. This was about me. This was my warning. This was my chance. This was the mercy I did not deserve. I do not know how long I knelt there on that scorched ground. Time did not exist in that place. There were no clocks, no sandauses, no sunsets, just the endless weight of regret pressing down on my soul. I looked up at Darnell one last time. He stood there, silent, his hollow eyes staring at nothing. I wanted to say something. I wanted to apologize. I wanted to tell him I was sorry for not calling him back. Sorry for not being there. Sorry for failing him when he needed me most. But before I could speak, the heat became unbearable. It was not the heat of fire. It was the heat of guilt, of shame, of every sin I had buried rising to the surface all at once. My chest felt like it was being crushed. My throat closed. I could not breathe, even though I had no lungs. I could not scream, even though I wanted to. And then a sound, a crack, sharp, sudden, like thunder splitting the sky. The darkness around me trembled. The haze shifted, and then light, brilliant, blinding light. Not the dim glow of embers. Not the faint flicker of distant flames. This was pure light, clean light, light that cut through the darkness like a sword. I shielded my eyes even though I had no hands. The heat vanished. The pressure lifted. The groaning stopped. And then I felt it. A hand, strong, steady, reaching for me. I looked up, and through the light, I saw a figure. The same presence I had felt before. The same voice. But now closer, more personal, more real. The hand extended toward me, and the voice spoke. Not in judgment, not in anger, but in authority mixed with mercy. Your time is not finished. I stared at the hand, trembling. I did not deserve it. I knew I did not deserve it. I had wasted years. I had ignored the warnings. I had chosen comfort over change. I had walked the same path that destroyed Darnell. But the hand did not pull back. It stayed there, waiting. You will warn them. I reached out. My hand, or whatever it was, touched the light. And the moment I did, everything changed. The ground beneath me disappeared. The haze evaporated. The silhouettes faded. Darnell faded. And I was pulled upward with violent, unstoppable force. Like a rope tied around my soul, yanking me back toward the surface. I flew through the darkness faster than I could process. The heat turned to cold. The groaning turned to silence. The shadows turned to light. And then, impact. My soul slammed back into my body with the force of a car crash. My chest exploded with pain. My lungs gasped for air. My heart kicked back to life with a violent, erratic thud. I heard voices. Panicked. Urgent. We got him. We got a pulse. BP is claiming. Oxygen is stabilizing. Stay with us, sir. Stay with us. I tried to open my eyes, but the light above me was too bright. I tried to speak, but my throat was raw. All I could do was cough and gasp and feel the crushing weight of being alive again. My chest burned. My head throbbed. My entire body felt like it had been hit by a freight train. But I was breathing. I was alive. The paramedic leaned over me, his face inches from mine. You are okay. You're going to be okay. Just stay with us. But I was not okay. I would never be okay again. Because what I saw, what I felt, what I learned in that place, it changed everything. I was not given a second chance because I deserved it. I was given a second chance because God had a purpose, a mission, a message I had to deliver. And I knew from that moment forward, my life was no longer my own. I woke up 3 days later in a hospital bed at Detroit receiving. My left arm was in a cast. My ribs were bruised. My head was bandaged. The doctors told me I had been clinically dead for 11 minutes. They told me it was a miracle I survived. They told me most people do not come back from that. But I knew the truth. It was not a miracle. It was mercy. Mercy I did not deserve. Mercy I could not earn. Mercy that came with a responsibility. The first thing I did when I could move my hand was reach for my phone. I scrolled through my contacts until I found my pastor's number. I called him, and when he answered, I did not waste time with small talk. "Pastor, I need to see you. I need to confess. I need to repent. And I need to change." He came to the hospital that evening. I told him everything. The drinking, the lust, the late nights, the distractions, the secrets I hid behind my smile, the sins I justified because I thought I had time. And then I told him what I saw. I told him about Darnell. I told him about the heat, the darkness, the regret, the warning. He did not look shocked. He did not look surprised. He just nodded slowly and said, "Terrence, the Bible says in Proverbs 14, verse 12, there is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way to death. You were on that way, and God pulled you back." I cried, not the silent, hidden tears I used to cry, but deep, broken, soul-cleansing sobs. The kind of crying that comes when a man finally stops pretending. When he finally admits he is not strong enough. When he finally surrenders. When I left the hospital 2 weeks later, I was a different man. I deleted every app on my phone that fed my lust. I poured out every bottle of alcohol in my apartment. I unfollowed every account, every page, every distraction that pulled me away from God. I started reading my Bible like my life depended on it. Because I realized it did. I started praying every morning. Not just quick prayers. Real prayers. Honest prayers. Prayers where I laid everything at the feet of Jesus and asked him to change me from the inside out. I started going to church not to look good, but to be fed. I joined an accountability group with 3 men who did not let me hide, who asked me the hard questions, who prayed for me when I was weak, and I started sharing my story. At first, it was just with close friends, then with my church, then with anyone who would listen, because I realized Darnell is not the only one. There are millions of people walking around right now who look saved but have never surrendered, who go to church on Sunday but live in secrets in the rest of the week, who think they have time to change later. But later is not promised. James 4 verse 14 says, "You do not know what tomorrow will bring." What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. I learned that the hard way, and so did Darnell. The moral of my story is simple but painful. It is not enough to look saved. It is not enough to know the right words. It is not enough to attend church or read a Bible verse once in a while. Salvation is not a performance. It is a transformation. Matthew 7 verse 21 says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven." Doing the will of the Father means surrender. Real surrender. It means letting go of the bitterness you have been holding, the unforgiveness you have been nursing, the pride you have been feeding, the lust you have been entertaining, the lies you have been believing. It means being honest with God about who you really are, not who you pretend to be. If you're hearing this right now, I need you to stop and examine your heart. Not your actions, not your reputation, your heart. Because God is not judged by what people see. He judges by what he sees. And he sees everything. Are you harboring unforgiveness towards someone who hurt you? Let go. Today. Not tomorrow. Today. Are you feeding lust in secret? Cut off. Delete it. Walk away from it before it becomes the chain you wear in eternity. Are you hiding behind church attendance while your soul stays unchanged? Stop pretending. Stop performing. Surrender. Truly surrender. Because hell is not just for the people we think are bad. Hell is for anyone who refuses to surrender their heart to Jesus. Anyone who chooses comfort over change. Anyone who says, I will deal with it later. I almost became one of those people. I was on the same path that destroyed Darnell. And if God had not pulled me back, if he had not shown me the truth, I would be standing in that place right now, alone, filled with regret, wishing I had one more chance. But you have that chance right now, today, this moment. Do not waste it. Tell someone where you are watching from. I want to pray for you tonight. I want to stand in the gap for you the way I wish I had stood in the gap for Darnell. And stay connected. Subscribe, because there are more warnings people need to hear, more testimonies that need to be told, more souls that need to be rescued before it is too late. Thank you for listening. And please do not ignore this warning. Examine your heart. Turn back. Choose life, because what I saw was not a dream. It was a revelation, and I will spend the rest of my life making sure no one else ends up where I saw my best friend standing.